Bienvenidos, welcome. And so, if you're watching this video, my hope is that you're actually in my Spanish class. If not, then feel free to enjoy the show. So, this year I wanted to sort of do a video syllabus, course expectations, things of that nature. So, we're actually going to break the video up into two parts. The part you're watching now is the introduction to myself and the course, and then we'll get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts of what to expect and resources. So I wanted to start by obviously taking a look at the screen here. You'll notice there's actually four flags, each of them representing a country. Hopefully, you know at least one of them. Obviously, in the bottom, we have the flag of the United States. On the top, yes, you've guessed it, that is the Mexican flag, not the Italian flag. On the left, we have the Spanish flag, and on the right, the flag of Argentina. And around here, we have some great pictures of some pretty typical Spanish breakfasts. So I took these while I was working for a study abroad company. I would spend the summers helping students with homestays and acclimate and cultural activities as a program director. And so these were a couple shots of my favorite breakfast while I was there. The top right, we have tortilla española, which is really just like an egg and potato omelet, but more heavy on the potato than the egg. So it's got an interesting and simple consistency, but really delicious. We have on the top left our churros. Now you're used to seeing them filled with sugar. These don't have any sugar on them, and they are handmade at each individual restaurant, so they come very fresh and very cheap. That breakfast with the coffee is probably less than $2. On the bottom left, we have another type of not a churro, it's called the porra, and it's a light, airy pastry, really long, really big. Again, probably that was probably closer to €3 or €4 because I had freshly squeezed orange juice with my coffee and porras. So again, I'm really into traveling. I'm really into food, and so it's really a great combination for me. I used to be a chef before I was a teacher. I've worked on food trucks. I've worked in catering. So I bring a lot of that flair too. So hopefully I'll get to make a few dishes for you this year. In Argentina, on the right, I actually studied there in high school. I went during the summer, which was their winter, and lived with a family and went to a school there. And it was an amazing opportunity and experience for me to sort of step outside my comfort zone. And then the Mexican flag represents I've been on vacation there several times. My wife and I actually honeymooned there, and so I really enjoy being able to go to these places and not just be a tourist, but also have the opportunity to learn differences in phrases. Just like if you went to Great Britain or Australia, you would notice there'd be a little differences in the words that they use, right? Recently I actually took students to Spain. So in June of this past summer, I took three high schoolers, kids who were in my Spanish class, just like you are now, and we had the opportunity to kind of visit Spain for about a week and a half. I got to go to my old office at the top here, where is the study abroad company that I worked for. Went to the beach in southern Spain, went to Toledo and watched them make swords, just walking through beautiful European style streets and having amazing food. Up here, you'll see some gazpacho, which is a tomato soup. Probably doesn't sound appetizing, but it's incredibly fresh vegetables that are put together to make that. And then it's an actual calamari sandwich or squid. But again, nothing like the calamari you might have had on the menu around here. Also, I want you to know a little bit about me personally. So I have a beautiful family. It's my wife, Mrs. Yoder, who teaches learning support here at the high school. It's my 5-year-old daughter, Alicia, and this is my 3-year-old daughter, Caitlin. And my daughter, Alicia, actually is attending French Creek this year in the kindergarten. So very exciting. On the bottom right, one of the things, if I'm not with my family and I'm not traveling, it's probably because I'm with my boys playing baseball. So I'm in a Philadelphia men's league that runs from April through September. I should say August this year. We just had our championship last weekend. We actually got to play it at the Wilmington Blue Rock Stadium. So if you ever travel to Delaware, it's that stadium that you end up passing just after you cross the PA Delaware border. We actually won the championship, so it was very exciting, and pretty much my life in a nutshell. So I wanted you to know a little bit more about me. Before I expect you to learn anything from me, I'd like you to know who I am and what I'm about. And sort of the last thing for us to kind of talk about are my goals for us together. Right. I don't want this to be a class where I sit down and spoon feed you information and you spit it back at me. I know a lot of times that's how we view school, but for me, that doesn't work. So our goal is to sort of work together. So, going back to my kitchen days, I'd like us all to kind of be in the kitchen together, metaphorically, sort of preparing the meal together, and then we all sit down and enjoy it together, rather than me spoon feeding you like you're a 2 year old. So my objectives are to get you to comfortable interacting in Spanish, even if you can't fathom a world where you speak Spanish. That's okay. Right, we're going to work on reading, writing, listening, speaking. We're going to do a lot with stations. All right, that way you're kind of getting to hit each of those in little pockets, and we're not just sitting in class listening. And then one of my big goals for us is just cultural awareness. I want you to understand that there's a world outside of the US, a world that's been going on much longer than the US has even been a country. And so there's a lot to be learned, even if something's different. That's okay. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just different. And so, those are my goals for us as we kind of move on together and work together. I think it's going to be a really great year. So stay tuned for our next segment where we'll talk a little bit more about grades, resources, and class regulations. All right. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.